There we go. And we're back. Excellent. For those of you in the chat, I already see there's 6 people already in the chat. That's wonderful. For those of you in the chat, if you would leave a comment in the chat, that'd be fantastic. For my records, I'll check that in a little bit. First, I was able to get through the vast majority of your projects that you guys submitted to me. So I was able to get those grades in for this class period. My B-Day class, not so lucky. I was not able to get through all of my B-Day class, but I was able to get through the vast majority of your guys. So if you check that, turning it in, you can see I left a bunch of comments just trying to explain why it was graded the way it was. And I put a little rubric in there as well so you can see the individual sections, the same rubric that's based on the project itself. There is a major on Edge Elastic that I posted on Tuesday. I said on Tuesday that I was going to be putting forth a major assessment, and I did, and I posted that thing on Tuesday. I purposefully pushed the due date for it back to Saturday, and it seems like an odd day to have it on, but I did push it back to Saturday. Now I'm just checking right now. I'm going on Edge Elastic. I just want to see, because I know a few people have already done it and submitted it, but I am going to strongly urge you guys not to wait for the last minute, which kind of leads me to today. Today is twofold. Number one, I want to take a quizzes to finish reviewing for the major that you guys are going to take. And then my plan, my goal for today's class period is to give you roughly 20 or so minutes at the end of class to continue or to begin working on that major assessment on Edge Elastic. On Edge Elastic, if you take the assessment, you don't have to submit it right away. You could do part of it, leave it be, and come back. It'll just say in progress. I want to try and give you a little extra time during this class period to, at the very least, get it started or continue what you've been working on. And like I said, just looking at Edge Elastic, I can see that a few people have started it. I even had one person finish it already. But I want to make sure that you have the time to do it. Its due date is Saturday at 2 p.m. I decided to give you a little extra time. So now, typically I would have had this due on Friday, but I decided to give the extra day as a just in case, oh my gosh, give you that extra day. You'll have a little wiggle room to kind of get it done. So, first things first, I'm going to get this quizzes set up. It will not take the whole class period. It will be a review quizzes. Hold on. I could have sworn I heard you like 2 seconds ago, but you're still like, well, I don't even know what's going on anymore. Anyway, so what you missed so far, we're going to do a review quizzes. I'm going to give you guys the last 20 or so minutes to either start or continue working on an Edge Elastic major. Woo! All right, let's get this thing going. Let's get this thing, start a live one. I'm going to leave redemption questions on there. Flip this screen over. There we go. I want people logging onto that thing as quickly as humanly possible. The code, thankfully, you guys in the chat can see that code. Go to joinmyquiz.com, enter that thing up. Let's get this thing moving. It looks like I got about 7 people in there. I got about 7 people out here. So we get a good number of people logged on to this thing. Somebody asked me in first period about the marking period. The marking period ends on April 1st. But then you guys have spring break. So even though the marking period ends on April 1st, teachers are not required to submit grades until April 15th. So please keep that in mind. Now, I don't know what other teachers do. I don't know what other teachers do in terms of like April 1st being like a hard cutoff. But considering the circumstances, yes, April 1st is the end of the marking period, but if you can get some things done for me between April 1st and April 15th, obviously there's spring break in between, but if you can get some things done for me, we can get some kind of number in there for a grade rather than nothing. So I got 7 people here. I got 7 people in the chat. It's not loading. What? Well, I was thinking more along the lines of the people in the chat because their computers are already on. You know, was it loading though? Okay. The internet. Did y'all hear horns? Goodness. I'll give people a few more moments to kind of get on there. I'm going to suggest again that you have that calculator open. Have that calculator open on your computer, simply because, well, you're going to need it to get a lot of these calculations done. And then, of course, if you need scratch paper, please, by all means, make sure you're scratching out the stuff. Oh, what's that? The laptop from the school is slower than my great-grandma. That's what he said. I don't know. Anyway, if you have not logged on, this code will be at the top of the screen, and you will be able to join mid-game. I'm going to strongly suggest, I mean, obviously, I can see if you guys have logged on or not, but for those people in the chat, you got to get on there. I'm going to click start. Start. So if again, for those of you in the chat, you may not be able to see that code actually, but it's 806-560. 806-560. I just put it into the chat. I'm not sure. What would you like to do?
No, he said for next year you recommended me for advanced math.
What is advanced finance?
It was like advanced mathematics and finance.
What would you like to do next year?
I don't even know, but I would definitely not pass that.
Well, I don't think it's required to take that as long as you pass a third year of math.
I'm trying to do that right now.
I gotcha.
But they were talking about like when I scheduled my classes.
Yeah.
There's a class you can take that's literally just guitar lessons. Guitar workshop. Yeah. So.
Just as a side note, when you get to the problem about mosquitoes, 2 of the answers are very, very close to each other. You can't have a fraction of a mosquito. I would technically accept either answer, but the answer on the quizzes, they're actually thinking about you rounding down. Because you can't have that fraction of a mosquito. just joining us, join the game. This is a review. It is a practice. And then I'll tell you how the rest goes.
I just rounded up on one of my mosquitoes. Came out to this. I see what the correct answer was 9,765. This answer was 0.6. I rounded up to 66.
I know, but I literally said like 2 minutes ago that this problem didn't have to round down. Well, again, if this were a major, I would have accepted either one. But in reality, you can't have a fraction of a mosquito, because if you do, the mosquito's dead. Was this the class I told about my murderous cat? Sweet. I was thinking about mosquitoes and crickets. number to beat is 61%. Yesterday's class got 61%. And so far, you guys are with the exception of that, you guys are wrecking them. Unfortunately, at the moment, no, because I do a class right now. Tell them if they have an opportunity, fourth period, I'm covering study hall. So I'm in A205 or A105 for that. If they have an opportunity, otherwise have them email me and I can get back to them actually during fourth period. Yeah. I'm going to give you guys just another couple of minutes, and then I would like to review some of the more important problems on this quizzes. And then, as I said, I wanted to give you roughly the last 20 or so minutes to either get started or continue working through that edge elastic major. Okay. Click this, click this, click. Do, 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 do. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Questions. Sweet. So from what I can see, you got no questions in the red, which is very solid. Let me sort by accuracy and go straight to the bottom for this one. Nice. We'll start here. We'll work our way up. I'm not going to do every question. I'm just going to do the ones that gave us the most issues, the most trouble. Yes, I'm just kind of peeking at what these are and which ones I actually want to do. Let's start with something like number 15. Now, like I said, this is a review in regards to the major that you guys are currently assigned. So I'm going to title my little notes here. Today is the 25th, and this is just an exponential review. And let's see, number 15, Cade earned $475 from mowing lawns last summer. He deposited the money into an account that pays interest rate at 3.8% compounded annually. 3.8% compounded annually, which means that the value of n is equal to 1. And they want to know what is the balance after 15 years. I'm going to flip my camera over, show you exactly what I wrote down. It starts with $475, 3.8% interest compounded annually. That means that the value of n is equal to 1 because that's 1 time per year. And t is equal to 15 for 15 years. I'll grab my calculator. I'm going to set this formula up first. And they want to know how much money he has after that amount of time. $475. 1 plus, now I'm going to leave this blank temporarily, raised to the 1 times 15 power. I want to zoom in on that rate. From what I saw on the project, I don't want you to continue making this mistake. I've warned against it, and I want to warn against it again. When you see something like 3.8%, your best course of action for putting it into the problem would just be dividing it by 100. You cannot put 3.8 as 3.8 into the equation. You can't. You have to divide it by 100, and that's the number that you would put into the equation. For example, on your projects, a lot of you found bank accounts that offered 0.01% interest. 0.01%. And a lot of you left it as 0.01 when you put it into the formula. But in reality, you cannot put 0.01% as 0.01. You have to put, well, this is a weird number, but it's actually 0.0001. That's what it should be. So in this formula, I do have to use 0.038. That's the number I got to plug in. Let me type this stuff in accordingly. 475, 1 plus 0.038 divided by 1, raised to the 1 times 15 power. I'm putting that exponent in its own little set of parentheses. Chapow should be $831.10. Do you guys ever see Office Space? Did I mention that movie before? It's a movie from the 90s. Office Space, about a guy who hates his office job, just ends up not caring and just not giving a crap, and then as a result gets promoted. It's pretty funny. But his coworkers have this idea for like defrauding the company, where there are all these transactions on the computer that happen every single day, and there's a bit of rounding error. Like in this calculation right here, there's a bit of rounding error at the end. And what the company basically does is they just pretend like that rounding error doesn't exist. So they take that and just erase it. But if you take that little bit of rounding error and deposit it into a bank account as fractional money, and then it ends up over millions and millions of transactions, it ends up being a lot of money. Why do they keep calling me? It's Marcus' room. Okay. Bye-bye. Brianna, going home. Just a reminder, like I said, the majors due Saturday. I was going to give you the remaining 20 minutes. I was just going to let you guys work on that. So you're not missing too much. So cool. Flip into this. Couple more that I want to go over. This one right here. I'll just bring this one larger right here. Thank you, you too. It says the population of Boringtown decreased annually. Decreased, meaning it's a decay, which eliminates a couple of these choices, but it decreased annually by 1.8%. And they give a whole bunch of information. The reason why this one right here is the answer that they say it is, the one that I just highlighted, I highlighted the proper rate. Because if you were the 4 people, or one of the 4 people who selected this one, the one that says 0.18, 0.18 is 18%. You got to be very careful. As I said, if you are dealing with a percentage like 1.8%, your best course of action is to divide it by 100. If you divide it by 100, that is the number that needs to go into the formula. You can't put in 1.8 as 1.8, and 1.8% is not 0.18 when you put it in. So be very careful with those numbers, because a decimal point off can mean the difference between a life savings and nothing, basically. Oh, decimal points. Let's see, that one or that one, rate of growth, car valued. I just want to show the mosquito one real quick. Where's the mosquito one? There it is. Oh, mosquito one. The reason why I wanted to show the mosquito one was because of the calculation that takes place. So let me actually type in the calculation. It grows at a rate. Fourth power, there we go. Boom, zooming in. Here is the calculation that needs to be done for the mosquito one. Now, as I said to a few people already, if this were an assessment of mine, I would count the answer if you wrote it as 9765 or 9766. I would accept either answer. But in reality, yes, the rules of rounding dictate that you round up, but the rules of reality dictate that you actually do round down because you can't have 0.625 of a mosquito. If you have 0.625 of a mosquito, you don't have an additional mosquito. You got to go down to 9765. But again, like I said, if this were one of my assessments, I would count it if you went either way. It's just that I would not accept it if you didn't go to a whole number. You can't have a fraction of a mosquito. Just like if it were money, you would need to go to 2 decimal places. You need to be very careful. Let's see. I have one more in mind that I want to do. It is this one right here, number 9. I am going to write this one down. Let's see. Number 9 was 5 to the 2 minus x equals 1 over 125. There we go. Zooming out. There it is. This is the last problem I'd like to go over. The last problem I'd like to go over before I give you the remaining time to work on those edge elastic majors. So on this problem, technically, you could use logarithms, but it's not required that you use logarithms. It is not required whatsoever that you use logarithms on this one because of that 125. It doesn't take that long to realize that you could divide 125 by 5. You could divide 125 by 5, and it is actually 5 to the 3rd power. I'm going to rewrite the problem. It doesn't take that much time to figure out that 125 is 5 to the 3rd power. However, I don't like the fact that that 5 to the 3rd power is on the bottom of the fraction. So this is the extra step that we need to remind ourselves of. If you want to have that base of 5, I need to take a reciprocal. If I take the reciprocal of 1 over 5, it becomes 5. But then a direct consequence of that is that exponent turns negative. If I take that 5 to the 3rd and I put it on top of the fraction, that exponent turns negative. The reason why I need that to happen is because I needed the bases to be the same. If the bases are the same, then I can simply do this, and I can solve it from there. Because now it's like an algebra 1 problem. Now it's like, okay, add 3, add x. X equals 5. Done and done. Yeah, 2 minus 5 is negative 3. The whole purpose of this problem was just recognizing the fact that you could get the bases to be the same on both sides by changing that 125, by taking the reciprocal to make it a negative exponent, and then from here, now that the bases are the same, I can set the exponents equal to one another. And then solve it from there. Okay. here's your reminder. You have this major right here. Well, I'd actually have to log in first. You have this major right here in your Google Classroom. One person has submitted it through Google Classroom, but more people have started it on EdgeElastic itself. This thing is due Saturday. And I want to give you enough time to kind of get it done. So as I said, I wanted to give you roughly the last 20 minutes of the class period, which is exactly right now, to either continue or begin working on that EdgeElastic major. I'm going to strongly urge you to take advantage of this time because there are people who need to do well on this major. Now, for those of you in the live chat, I am going to stay on the live stream. If you do have any questions that you would like answered in real time, of course, you can ask those questions in the chat, or you can email me separately. That is up to you. But I'm going to strongly urge that you do so. If you haven't left a comment in the chat, please make sure that you do so as well. Obviously, I'll update the attendance later. But right now, we are taking the time to work on that EdgeElastic major. Let's go. In fact, I should type that into the chat just because. Why do I keep getting these emails to donate to the swim team? No. Wait, what? No. Why do I keep getting these emails? In the past 20 minutes, I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 emails in the last 20 minutes.
6 people like you so much they want you to donate.
I'm not. Goodness gracious.
I know maybe because it's the last week of the fundraising and I
Deleted.
I think he literally went to every teacher at the school. If I don't finish this test, I'll finish it later.
Yes. It will just simply say in progress for the time being, and then you can re-access it through the Edge Elastic website. It is not due until Saturday at 2 p.m. The class period is going to come to an end in about a minute and 10 to 15 seconds or so. So roughly 70 seconds. But regardless, I'm going to sign off on the live stream. If you have not left a comment in the chat, please make sure that you do so. I'm going to be signing this thing off, so you won't be able to leave comments after that. Please do not forget that major due on Saturday. Today is Thursday. I will not see you again till Monday. Oh, my goodness. But next week, ooh, interesting week we have next week. It's already April next week. Think about that. Wow. I know, almost 70% of your school year. Insane. I know. Anyway, I'm going to sign off, call it a day, and we'll go from there.